Hello everyone, let's understand the Anypoint platform. If you're talking about Anypoint platform, these are the components came under the Anypoint platform: Design Center, Exchange, Data Graph, API Manager, API Governance, Runtime Manager, Visualizer, Monitor, Access Management, and Secret Manager. These are the components came under, and we are going to see each one of them in detail. But before going to in detail, it will be good to give you a brief so that you are aware of their work. Okay, so let's go and log into the Anypoint exchange. I have logged into the Anypoint exchange. Once you log into it, Anypoint exchange, this will it look like that. It will look like that. Just click here and you will get all the option that we are earlier seeing here. Okay, these are the component where we are going to work with the Anypoint platform. If you're talking about the design center is a place where we can create the API using the API specialization. Once API is created, we are going to use the exchange to publish this API. This can be published internally within a organization, or it can be published to a public where anyone can see. Once it is published, we are going to apply the security thing using the API manager. We can create the proxy application in the API manager, and here we can apply the security thing. Once everything is done, we are going to deploy this application using the runtime manager. Further, we can visualize and monitor using the visualizer and monitoring. Apart from them, we have the access management where we can add the user into our organization. We can create a team, we can create a business group. These all thing, administration thing, we can do in the access manager. Giving access, removing access, these all thing we are going to do in the access management. So this is all about the Anypoint platform. Let's explore the thing in detail in the if you talking about the Anypoint platform, MuleSoft say that you can design your API once and you can deploy to anywhere. You can deploy your Mule application to anywhere a MuleTime runtime is hosted. Anywhere Mule runtime is hosted, you can deploy it. Either it can be a on-premise, or it can be a private cloud, or it can be a hybrid, or it can be a cloud hub that is hosted by MuleSoft. You can deploy to any cloud service provider like that, AWS, Azure. It can be easily deployed to anywhere. Now talking to the this diagram is going to be important for the understanding point of view. Already talked to design center is used to design the API, and this is going to be in RAML language, which is going to see in upcoming classes. Once we have created the API, we are going to publish this to the Anypoint exchange. Once our API is published, now we are going to import our API from the Anypoint exchange to Anypoint Studio. Here we are going to do some modification. We are going to do some enhancement in our application. Once enhancement is done, we can deploy this application to the runtime manager. We can deploy this application to runtime manager. Further, API manager is used to create the API proxy, which help us to secure the API. So we used to create the API proxy. Again, we used to deploy this API proxy to API manager, and API manager having the cloud hub. So we are going to deploy API proxy to the cloud hub, and again we are going to deploy the Mule application to cloud hub. Okay, and we are going to apply here as a auto discovery so that it can discover the application. And In this way, we have created the API, we have published the API, we have did modification to API, and we have deployed and secured the API. So this is the whole architect, how basically API works. Okay, let me explain you one more thing. Consider this diagram. There is a client who wants to request the information and from our Mule application. This is our the Mule application, or you can say the Mule server, or you can say the Mule runtime. And this is the place where our API is present that we have created. And from this API, there is a client who wants to request the information. Okay, then how we can do the authentication so that not anyone can ask our Mule application to for information. Of course, if any this here lots of information will be crucial, and if anyone is hitting our web service and getting the information, that will be a big problem. So for that, we need to give the authentication so that the proper people who having the authentication, they can reach to our web service, they have reached to our API, and we will get the response. We will give him the response. For that, we in the API manager, we have the API gateway, and we used to create the in API manager proxy API or proxy application, you can say that. The API gateway help us as a boundary that protects our Mule application from the any external client. It basically validates the request, and using the auto discovery, it route to the Mule application. How basically it works? Once the client sends the request, API proxy checks the authentication, whether API gateway checks the authentication, whether authentication is correct. Let's take example. In we have given the authentication as a username password. If client is requesting with the correct username password, then we validated that this request is authentic. So after that, we have the auto discovery. What auto discovery will do? It will automatically route the request to the Mule application. So, and by saying that this request is authentic, please provide the response, and Mule application will send the response. And while sending the response, there is no such authentication required. So if there is no authentication, only authentication is required for request. Okay, so in this way our Mule application works. So we have seen how basically our Anypoint platform is important for creating and designing and deploying the application. In upcoming classes, we are going to design our our Mule application using the design center. And hope you have enjoyed. Thank you all. And if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe it. Thank you.